Duct tape for my harmonica player got a deep cut in his finger with a knife, so we're trying to figure out how we're going to get him up here so he doesn't have to go to the ER right now. So if anybody's got any duct tape, we'll just duct tape it together. I remember in Chicago, Keith Hudson, the drummer, we did a gig at Pulaski. It's around Pulaski and Montrose.
Excuse me, I got duct tape in the car, I will get it, you know.
Oh yeah, you go ask him in the,
Yeah.
hey Tim,
Okay,
he's got duct tape in the car.
I'll go get it.
So, I was doing a gig up in Pulaski and like around Montrose, and the drummer had to get up to the gig. The drummer actually got shot in the hand before the gig because Keith Hudson he's like a martial artist, and he had shurikens, and this guy was trying to rob him, and when he threw the shuriken at him, you know what a shuriken is? The Japanese flying star. So this guy thought he was like kung fu, and then when the guy like it shot through the hand, but he still made it to the gig because he needed the money. He wrapped it up, and he was still playing drums. It was amazing. That's the kind of life we had in Chicago growing up.
You have a bullet hole in one side and it comes out the other.
My name is Steve Arvey, and I am from Chicago. I came from a pretty good middle-class family out of the city, and I pretty much got into the blues when I was down in, I had a neighbor named Chuck Weisbrod who sold refurbished or second-hand mattresses. You know, these are mattresses that like, you know, like it's like refurbished, you know, and he would go down, I was 16 years old, I was still in high school, and he'd take me down to Maxwell Street, which is also known as Jewtown, because it's all Jewish people. I'm Jewish, so I can say, that, you know, I'm not making fun of Jewish people, where I guess there's a code we can do you know, jokes about it. But anyway, but Jewtown was a place where, you know, Jewish people and African Americans were put together. That's where you see the movie Blues Brothers, Maxwell Street. So I'd go down to Maxwell Street on early Sunday mornings. We'd leave like 5 in the morning. We'd have to be set up by like 6:37, and they'd all come down and we'd sell these mattresses. And while we're selling mattresses, I'd see these blues guys, you know, these black guys, you know, playing blues, and it was just really cool. And I was playing a little drums, but I wasn't a really good drummer, but I was kind of like, you know, boisterous. I can play drums. And the one guy said, John here, get back and play it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna like, you know, like Jackie Gleason. And so I got back there, and I was doing okay. And he kind of showed me with his foot what to do. And then I started playing with these guys all the time. Every time I get a break from Chuck on Sundays, I go and I play with these guys and help tips. Before I knew it, I was making more money, you know, doing the tips and playing with them than I was with Chuck on my breaks. So I told Chuck, I'm like, see you later, Kishmir Tokus. And I started going down on Sundays to play with the blues guys. So that's kind of how I got.
The guy should shift the mic.
Yeah.
He should shift the mic. Can you hear him?
Can you hear me? Oh, wait, where's your microphone?
Right here.
You're okay.
Can you
Oh,
hear
you-
No, let me put it around now.
Yeah, that's right. You need
Oh,
it.
your mic is working okay, either way.
No, I'll put, this is his new thing where, this is his like little hearing aid stuff, and remember, catch me on the way out, or I'm gonna.
Yeah, I
you're
forgot.
You're gonna,
Yeah,
I'll be at the cash and pawning this thing this afternoon. Think I get $5 for it? Can you hear me now?
I got you.
All right, this is great. I got to get one of these with my girlfriend, that way I can call her anytime I need dinner. Give me that remote. It's good. So let's start with some of the blues. Let's get down, before we get up to Chicago, we're going to start with some of the Mississippi. This is a cigar box. So I'm kind of skipping over over the one-string diddly bow. days, the blues, a lot of times what they would do, they would take wire and they would put the baling wire on these houses, the little huts, what the shacks that they were living in, and then they would take a slide. They'd take like a glass bottle, top of a wine bottle or some sort of a bottle, and play it across and then eventually they had like a one string, what's called as a diddly bow. We're not going to do it because we don't have enough time to go through that. So eventually, you'd have 1 or 2 or 3 strings guitars, and they would attach to cigar boxes. Now you have to remember that back in the early 1900s, Gibson guitars, Martin guitars, they were very, very expensive. Nowadays, it's so easy to buy a guitar for like $90 or $100, but relative to the price of what they were at that time, in today's terms, you're talking about, $1,000, $2,000. Those guitars were very expensive, the nice ones. You always see the blues guys like Charlie Patton and Robert Johnson, Big Bill Bruns with a real nice guitar because the record companies were trying to show that they had, nice guitars. But most people could not afford guitars, so they would just take a cigar box and make something like this. And here's how. Front porch and putting it right in your room here instead of bringing a whole, because they would bang their feet on the front porch to get that drum sound. Y'all hear it? How are we feeling, Tim?
I've been cut worse in a bar fight.
Oh, okay.
I was folding up my pocket knife, and I have a self-inflicted wound. They did not have blue tape, which I requested. So we'll see if that holds it in.
All right. Well, let me do a few more songs. I'm going to call you up.
Right on the tip of my thumb, and it just doesn't want to stop.
At least you didn't get shot. I got to drop you off at Cook County Memorial. It's not called Cook County anymore. What do they call it now? They call it Robert Stroger. So yeah, so the blues pretty much started, in the Mississippi Delta and New Orleans too. I do another blues in the school, our blues in the library class with Bill Buckman. We do a lot of the piano of New Orleans and how the piano's integrated into it. But today we're just pretty much going to work on most of the blues out of the Mississippi Delta region. And start with a song by Barbecue Bob. A lot of the African Americans that they came over here, of course, they were forced over here pretty much as slavery, and ended up working on a lot of cotton farms. Of course, we abolished slavery, in 1866 or was it 65? It was 1865. And but still, there was still a lot of these sharecroppers that would work in the fields and picking cotton, and so that was a big, a lot of them had jobs until I guess was Eli the gin mill. What was the Eli Whitney, the cotton gin, yeah, and that kind of changed stuff, but
Different kind of gin.
yeah. But there was a really, if you ever get a chance to go on the Mississippi Blues Trail and go to Clarksdale, Mississippi, Vicksburg, it's really interesting to see the history. I'm really glad, because when I was growing up, researching all the blues, all this stuff, there wasn't all these monuments and declarations. I mean, now the Crossroads, I went to go take a picture at the Crossroads, and they got like a whole shopping mall there, and, it's like unbelievable, like in the middle of the street, but it's really built up a lot. But I'm just gonna play some of the styles. This is a guy by the name of Barbecue Bob. Barbecue Bob wrote this song after the flooding in the late 20s. This was a pretty big hit for him. Mississippi River flooding. A lot of ice that winter up in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. When that ice and snow melts, it's got to go somewhere. Mississippi, rolling on down, that water keeps on rolling. Right to the banks, down to Helena, Arkansas, where the levee was.
Mississippi sinking, Louisiana stinking. Everybody up in Tennessee talking about the old town of Ricky, baby. That's why I'm proud. Mississippi, here we go. Just one more thing, barbecue Bob's got to say. There ain't no women out here, 'cause they all got washed away. That's why I'm proud. Mississippi, here we go. That's why I'm proud. Mississippi, here we go. Get on down and they go Mississippi.
What you're going to see, and if you get to see George Worthmore tomorrow, he's another great finger picker, and it's you had to accompany yourself. You didn't have bass players back then. You know, a lot of times, guys, they didn't have all this whole big system. They'd have to sit out there like Charlie Patton and be able to play that you know, it was all that dead thumb.